Hey everyone, I'm Amanda of Fortunate Designs, and today I wanted to talk about the politics of crafting and how crafting, like crochet, knitting, weaving, making quilts, everything, can be political. Whether we want to be political or not, fiber crafting has always and will always be political. No matter which side of the aisle you fall on, different policies are interwoven into our fiber crafting, and they cannot be ignored. Historically, fiber crafting and crafting in general was a way to further society, to keep people warm, fed, safe, comfortable, and shielded from the elements. But as our society evolves, fiber crafting becomes a symbol of rebellion and a method of resistance against the powers that be. It gives crafters a voice to fight. And a lot of us who do knit, crochet, weave, everything, we are disabled. A lot of us, not all of us, but many of us who do these things are disabled. And we can't always, go out and protest, but we can put up a fight and show that we are part of this rebellion through our crafting. But before anybody starts typing anything crazy in the comments, I want to talk about what politics means in this context. Politic means to be pragmatic, prudent, and judicious, and it comes from the word policy. Policies are why we have politics. Now, what are policies? Policies are deliberate systems of guidelines used to guide and direct decisions and achieve different outcomes. A policy is a statement of intent, and it is implemented as a procedure or protocol. Translation: they are statements made by the society or the polis that outline the group's principles, and it's like a statement of belief. Policies are made because people believe that things should be done one way or another. Now, with that being said, let's get into why crafting is political. Fiber crafting has been used for a long time to uphold different policies and to make people's voices heard on these principles, using their craft as a means of communication. In her article about the politics of crafting, Nikki Wheeler says this: "For centuries, fiber arts, often dismissed as women's work, has been quite a powerful tool for resistance, political commentary, and rebellion. From subversive samplers to protest banners, women have used needle and thread to challenge authority, claim their autonomy, and amplify their voices. This is a history of activism stitched into fabric." This form of activism actually has a name, and it's called Craftivism. It was coined by Betsy Greer in about the year 2000. She's an artist, activist, and writer from North Carolina. And I believe she coined this after going to a demonstration in 2000 where she saw people using their craft in, the march and the demonstration. Historically, craftivism has been used for over 100 years in many different places and spaces, during many wars and revolutions, and in different countries, and opposing many different authoritarian regimes. Craftivism has allowed people's voices to be heard when they don't know how to convey their thoughts otherwise. One of the earlier examples that we have of craftivism is from around the 1700s. During the American Revolution, the Daughters of Liberty used fiber arts to enact change, to have their voices heard, and to support the Americans in their struggle against Britain rule and their taxes and exports and everything. Notable members of the Daughters of Liberty include Sarah Bradley Fulton, most known for her role in the 1773 British Tea Party, Martha Washington, wife of George Washington, and even Sarah, the daughter of Ben Franklin, got involved. There were many other members, but those were three of the main names that anybody would recognize, but there were more members in the list. These women organized what were called spinning bees, spinning and weaving events where they would invite a ton of different women, and they would just spend their day spinning and weaving fiber. They and many other women would work together to create this homespun fabric so that they could do away with British imports and they could show a self-reliance that they didn't have before. They would wear and use these fabrics to show other American people that they could be self-sustaining without Britain. During the suffragette movement, women would sew sashes, signs, banners, flags, all adorned and embroidered with slogans and sayings and symbols of their cause, advocating for their right to vote and to be represented. So this next one does come with some context. I had this mentioned in my TikTok video when I did talk about this very briefly on that platform, and somebody had brought this up and I decided to look into it. So I'm going to say what the thing is and then all of the facts about said thing. During the Underground Railroad, it was said that slaves would quilt different designs like wagon wheels and log cabins and geese flying and all sorts of different things to show the way out and to help lead others to safety. Kind of like how they would braid maps into their hair. This has been highly contested though. According to Giles Wright, an Underground Railroad historian, this never happened, and it was never used in practice. The book, Hidden in Plain View, was on the supposed quilting practices of slaves seeking freedom and emancipation, but it was only made in 1990. There were no real mentions of this prior to 1999. The author, Jacqueline Tobin, purchased a quilt from one Ozella McDaniel Williams in Charleston, South Carolina market in 1994. Tobin then goes on to write the book about Ozella's life because she had said that was how her family got out and everything. And then so Tobin was like, hey, historian friend, do you want to help me write this book? And to dig up, articles and information about it. And the problem was they did not do any further research beyond this person's family. The historical claims beyond that one family were never backed up. So although it is a nice story, it's not really accurate in any capacity. It's rife with misinformation that historians like Giles Wright are still trying to battle even in 2025. Now, skipping ahead a little bit, during World War II, knitters became secret spies and espionage agents to help the American people. It did happen in other parts of the world, but a lot of the sources just come from America. So that's a kind of a weird thing I have found in my research. A lot of these sources will talk about knitting code and how the Americans used it, but Americans weren't the only ones to have used this code. The Germans used this code, Belgians used this code, a lot of different countries used this. So it's not just specific to America. We were not special. These knitters would use knit and purl stitches in order to encrypt their messages into fabric and sweaters and pieces and everything to then be handed off to allies to then decode. More often than not, this was a binary or Morse code that they were encrypting. During the war, Belgian intelligence agencies decided to befriend grandmas and little grannies that lived near railroad depots and railroad tracks so that they could basically conscript them and say, hey granny, would you mind spying on the Germans for us, please? And the grannies were like, oh my God, okay, sure, no problem. What do you want me to do? So they told them about the plan to knit and purl and drop stitches and everything in order to tell their allies, the Belgian intelligence agency people, what was going on and the different movements on the tracks, like troop movements, supply drops, and everything. But nobody would ever suspect a granny sitting in her window just knitting away. So it was perfect because so many different people and agencies and countries were using knitting in their espionage and in their message communications. The US and UK both banned written knitting patterns because nobody could figure out if there was a knitting pattern that was just for a nice scarf or if it was basically battle plans. They had no way of knowing what was an actual pattern and what was a coded message, so they just banned them all. When they weren't doing espionage, knitters were helping soldiers on the front lines in more domestic fashions. Women were knitting fingerless gloves primarily for their loved ones on the front lines so they could still utilize their tools and fire a rifle. They were making hats and scarves and bandages and everything to help keep them alive, safe, and warm. Going back to quilting for a minute, during Augusto Pinochet's rule in 1973 through 1990, I believe, Chilean women would make arpilleras, or these patchwork quilts, in order to document the human rights abuses that they faced. In their quilts, they would document the abuses, the abject poverty, the state violence that was enacted on them, the lack of women's rights, and the future that they wanted for Chile. While I was researching for this video specifically, I was trying to find more instances of quilts being used like the Chilean women and their arpilleras. And I'm not sure that I could find any. I know they exist, but I can't find any. But what I did find was really, really cool. Just this year, in March 2025, there were 57 different quilts made by the Mormon women of ethical government and their allies, different allied groups with them, at a conference so that they could present it to Congress. At first, they just took 2 to their Utah senators, and then they went big with it. They cut out squares and had people write on them and stitch into them different slogans like liberty and due process for all, and the Constitution is not optional. Fucking chills. Crafting and quilting for change is nothing new. It has always been part of us and part of our craft. We have used our fabric, yarn, hooks, and needles to give us a sense of power and purpose, and it's helped give us something to do in the times where we feel most powerless. Now, I am mostly a crocheting account, and you'll notice I did not even mention crochet once. Nothing historical about crochet being political. Well, that's where you're wrong. I do want to take this moment right now to talk about crochet and how it relates to politics. Crochet is pretty new. It only really emerged around the 1800s, and though earlier versions were around before this, like null binding from Nordic regions, it was popularized by Queen Victoria around 1835-40, around there. But it really took off when she popularized it and pushed it to Irish women struggling during the, people who want to say famine, but it's not a fucking famine, starvation occupation of 1845 to 1852. Though it is new by fibercrafting standards, it still can be used in politics and to further our policies and beliefs through our craft. Creating your own clothing, making your own dish rags and kitchen towels, stuffed animal hammocks, swimsuit wraps, and everything else is punk as fuck, therefore making it political. Policies, political, punk policies. It makes you more self-reliant and self-sustaining than many people actually are. The punk subculture is characterized by promotion of individual freedoms. They are very anti-establishment. The punk subculture disrupts capitalism, promotes DIY aesthetics, and is a total rejection of the status quo. Punk individuals stand out from the crowd and are not afraid to do so. They opt to thrift and make their own clothing and make their style their own, and use their beliefs and style as a rebellion against capitalism. You can often see them like at protests and demonstrations and marches with their battle jackets. And there are many different subcultures and sub-subcultures in the punk culture, so it's not a one-size-fits-all. But that is the basis of punk in general. Crocheting, knitting, and weaving your own clothing is punk as fuck, and it is a disruption of capitalism. By not relying on capitalism, even in smaller ways, you can still make yourself a little bit more ungovernable. Whether you're just making a cutesy little rave outfit, or a baby blanket, or dish rags, or some fun little gloves that you're only gonna wear once before you give it to a friend, that is still an act of defiance. And I know, don't even start, I know at least one of y'all are gonna come in here and say, oh, but you're still buying yarn, that's giving into capitalism. That is not the point. Where you are right that we still do buy the yarn, it's not what we're talking about here. It's not about buying the yarn, it's about making something that lasts with the yarn and fiber that you purchase, that then prevents you from giving into fast fashion and other capitalism ventures. If you will notice, the clothing that we get now is far shittier and cheaper than anything that our parents or grandparents had. Making our own clothing is far more sustainable, and we don't have to give into fast fashion and buy new clothing every fucking season. That's what capitalism wants. Don't be that. Don't do that. It's nice to get a shirt or pants now and again, something new, but like thrift it or make it or something. That's the point of this here. Now I want to talk about craftivism activities. These are going to be things that you can do and things that you can make to be your own little act of rebellion. For those of us who are disabled and who do enjoy crocheting, knitting, and everything, this can be our own act of rebellion because we can't always go out and march. So we have to have different options. Number one, learn how to make your own clothing. I have personally started this project of my own where in my closet I am crocheting or thrifting everything in my closet. If I bought it from a major retailer, poof, it's gone. If it won't last more than 2 years, poof, gone. I want my closet to be as sustainable as possible, as stable as possible, so I won't have to constantly keep buying new clothes. So the more I can make, the less I am shopping. Even taking up sewing, you can make your own clothing, you can make pretty much whatever the hell you want. Rejecting capitalism and fast fashion in favor of our craft and sewing something or crocheting or knitting something is far superior in my opinion. And it's just better for the environment. Number two, take up spinning. I'm not sure how many people are aware of this, but you can buy bulk fiber straight off of the sheep, the alpaca, the goat, the bunny, and you can make your own fiber with it and like spin it and create your own yarn. You just need a drop spindle or a wheel and you can get to spinning. And sometimes when you buy those bulk orders, sometimes they'll even come with a little card that tells you who the animal is, what their name is, and what color they were, what breed and everything. Like a little information card about the animal that you're getting that fiber from, which I think is a really cute and personalized touch. So you can be more confident about where your fiber is coming from, and you can have that confidence of working it yourself so you can be part of all different steps of the project. Number 3, start making dishcloths and dish rags. Now this one is a little odd, but hear me out. I have personally started to make dish rags because it's honestly, I have so much cotton yarn, I need to do something with it. And I'm making these little rags that are with bobble stitches so you can, it's a scrubby. It's just a scrubby rag, which by the way, work fantastic. I highly recommend it. But we buy so many paper towels. Americans in general, we buy paper towels out the fucking wazoo. So if you want to help the environment, you want to save the trees, crochet dish rags. According to massinitiative.org, discarded paper towels result in 254 million tons of trash every year. As many as 51,000 trees per day are required to replace the number of paper towels that are discarded every day. If every household in the US used just one less 70-sheet roll of paper towels, that would save 544,000 trees every year. Save the trees, crochet a dish rag. And number 4, teach others how to crochet, knit, sew, weave, and everything. Giving someone the gift of independence and a new skill is really underrated. I know it's kind of like the teach Amanda Fish type thing, but it's really true. We can teach one another to be self-sustaining and self-reliant, and this can help expand the fight to other people. So we are not just one person trying to fight fast fashion and capitalism. The more people who have these skills, the more it can hurt capitalism. And I'm not saying that it's going to disrupt the entire thing. It's not going to, make capitalism fall in one night. Obviously, that's not how that works, but we can still make a change. Every little thing that we do is change. It is the butterfly effect. Even ripples can become waves. And if you are wanting to pick up a new craft or find something new to do, check out the HCA's Red List. The Heritage Craft Red List is a list of extinct and endangered crafts around the world. Crafts like null binding is critically endangered, clockmaking is endangered, and so is bobbin lace making. There's a ton of things on that list, so you can probably just pick one and find something that interests you. Keep these crafts alive, goddammit. All the links to everything I talked about will be down below. Plus, I've included other links for independent research. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you keep up your own crafting rebellion with me. If you want to see more crafting educational videos, please subscribe and follow me here on YouTube, but I'm also on TikTok and Blue Sky and Substack, all under the same name, Fortunate Designs. So anywhere you're at, I'm probably there too. So until next time, I will see you later. Have fun and happy hooking.